Continuing our look at the grid lineup provisionally from yesterday's qualifying session, talking about Mansell in 12th fastest. We see the first car going out. That's Jos Verstappen. Once again, he seems to always want to be the first car out onto the circuit, and there he is in his Simtek. Well, 13th fastest yesterday, Rubens Barrichello. A little disappointing. He only managed 3 laps in yesterday's qualifying session before the engine cut out and he had to be towed back in later on. Mika Salo was 14th, Martin Brundle 15th, so a difficult day for him on his return to a Grand Prix qualifying session. Then Taki Inoue was 16th, Gianni Morbidelli disappointing in the footwork, 17th, and the man we're looking at now, as you can see, 18th fastest after yesterday's session, with more gearbox problems for the Simtek, and that costing them yet more time, so they'll be hoping for better things in this session. Pierluigi Martini was 19th, Carl Wendlinger was 20th. Just taking a quick look there at the man who has provisional pole position, John Alesi, the Ferrari driver, hoping to hold on to that place. Had a difficult time in the free practice this morning.
Yes, he went out and did a number of laps. Again, very quickly was at the top of the times, but then had a problem. The claim is that it was out of fuel, which is a very unusual thing for a team like Ferrari to actually own up to. Other more skeptical people around the pit lane say it was an electrical problem. Certainly, whatever it was, it curtailed Alesi's laps to only 11 laps when his competitors all had 21, 2 or 3 laps. And that's a lot of time on the track to lose.
Jos Verstappen coming round to start his first time lap, and Roberto Moreno is the other man that's just come out onto the circuit, but only those two at the moment, although Carl Wendling has just left the pit lane. He actually is qualified 20th fastest so far. Domenico Schiattarella is 21st, Luca Badua is 22nd, then Montermini is 23rd, Gasho, Diniz and Moreno were the last qualifiers.
Carl Wendlinger has been having a really difficult time in his return to Formula One after that accident last year in Monte Carlo. And the big problem for him seems to be in qualifying. In fact, what he has done, he's invited Dr. Helmut Marko, a former Grand Prix driver and World Sports Car Championship driver. And there we see Jos Verstappen just displaying the kind of excitement that he gave us here on Friday morning on a very greasy and slippery track, and seemingly having not a lot more grip than he actually had 24 hours ago. But going back to Carl Wendlinger, the problem is he can't go out and do those one-off first lap qualifying blinds that is so necessary to get the maximum performance from the tyre and from the car. And with a teammate like Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is renowned for his out-of-the-box speed, it's getting to Carl Wendlinger. In the race, he's fine, he can settle down, stabilizes, but the problem is he's starting from so far back in the grid that the good work that he does in the race is going unnoticed. And very good that Verstappen, almost repeating what we saw happen here last year for Andrea Montermini when he got wide. Verstappen, I hope, had the wisdom to lift off and check that car, but you've got to be very careful coming onto the straight, because one move too wide and that the verge on the side of the track, then the gravel trap. Let's look again. Look, almost disaster, but Verstappen pulled it back, continues on. That lap, by the way, 1 minute 27.466, and that's a marginal improvement on his time from Friday afternoon, but of course doesn't really do very much for his good position. He is still in 18th place.
Well, Verstappen was in fact 12th fastest in the free practice session yesterday morning, which certainly gave us some indication that he should have done well in qualifying. Those gearbox problems certainly holding him back, but as he's through the chicane, over the curbing once again.
And really what Verstappen is doing is, it's almost overdriving. He's just trying almost too hard to push the car, to drive the car on, because when you get a 12th place in any session, it lifts you, it lifts the team so much, and you assume that you're going to be there for the rest of the sessions. By the way, Damon Hill has just made his way down to the end of the pit lane and is going to be on track and on our picture, I think, very shortly.
So Verstappen continues round. We've certainly got quite a few more cars out on circuit, and in fact Michael Schumacher has also just come out onto the circuit. John was saying how he used old tyres this morning to set his time in that free practice session. Damon Hill was on new tyres. We also know that David Coulthard was on old tyres, and the Ferraris also not on new tyres this morning.